We're joined now by our good friend, CBS Sports NFL senior writer, Pete Prisco in South Florida. Pete, it's good to see you and talk to you. How you doing, man?
Good, JP. How are you?
Oh, we're alive. That's step one these days. We're working from home. That's step two. It's strange times for everybody, certainly around the National Football League in the next months ahead.
Well, the good news is that our Monday night partner in our trio is doing a lot better, Tony Boselli. He rallied. Our guy rallied.
He did, and we had him on last week. He's been making the rounds this week, giving the warnings out. It was great to hear his voice last week, Pete, after everything that he had gone through. There's no doubt.
No question. I was thrilled. I was worried about him, and he fought through it and made it through. And now next year we're armed with a bunch of jokes to just get all over him now once he makes it back through this.
We'll let it die off a little bit first before we go with the jokes.
I'm just happy Tony's doing well, and it's good he's getting the message out to people to be careful.
Yeah, this is a real deal for sure. Let's talk a little football now, Pete, and let's start with this virtual draft. The NFL is going to draft virtually, and everybody from all the teams have to be in their own place to do this. How's this going to go? How's this going to turn out?
All right, JP, you're my scouting director, and I'm the general manager. We're on the clock. We're sitting there at number 9. I'm going to pretend I'm Dave Caldwell. You pretend you're one of the scouts. What do you think about Mekhi Becton in the spot? Should we go Mekhi Becton or should we go to Isaiah Simmons? If we needed a linebacker, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this? We're getting close to it. What do you think? This is our final decision.
Okay, give me Becton.
All right. With the 9th pick, we're going to take Mekhi Becton. How easy is that? It's not that complicated. And I've talked to a bunch of guys around the league that say, let's just go draft. We're ready for it. This is the doom and gloomers out there putting out this scenario where these teams aren't ready. It's not that complicated. Just go pick. Back in the day, they used to pick out of Street and Smith's football magazine. And they probably got more right than they do when they overanalyze it.
And then at the end of the day, Pete Rozelle drew it on a blackboard in the room. That was it.
Of course. This isn't going to be that complicated, JP. It's not. Just draft. It's easy to do. And if you're a team that's done your work leading up to it, and I say this all the time, if you have your scouts out at a school and you want to find out all the information you can on a player, super sleuth scout, because that's what they are, we'll go to the local restaurant and find out if he treats the workers kindly. We'll go talk to the equipment man. This is the kind of information that's better than having some guy come in on one of his 30 visits that's a prep visit when he says everything that you want him to say. So I think that's why I think teams – I'm one of the big believers that think this will be a better draft than it's been because there's no analysis by paralysis. Paralysis by analysis.
Sure, I knew what you meant. And it seems like we'll find out which scouting staffs are better equipped, right?
I mean, I can go back in history and use a Tom Coughlin example to perfectly illustrate paralysis by analysis.
Okay.
Back in the day, the Jaguars were getting ready to draft. I think it was their 2nd or 3rd year, and they had a guy by the name of Anthony Cesario who was a guard. The scouts had like a 6th-round grade on him. Coughlin came into the process later, as he was wont to do because he had to coach the team during the season, and gave Anthony Cesario a 2nd-round grade. And the scouts pushed back on him. Of course, he was not going to lose that one, but they did talk him down a round, and they took him in the 3rd round. He was a major bust. That's what happened when the coaches come to the process late. Trust your scouts. Trust your personnel people. There are a lot of good scouts in this league that have done the work in the 2 years leading up to this year. Let them do the work. Lean on them. Listen to them.
CBS Sports senior writer Pete Prisco with us. You know, it feels like, Pete, and they haven't really made any official announcement, the league, of what's going to happen after the draft, but it just feels like right now the offseason program is toast, and then we'll see what happens come training camp time.
Yeah, even if the country opens back up, say, the first week of May, I don't think you'll see off-season programs in May. I think what you might see is a mini camp or two in June, if that's the case. And then you'll take your little break and come back in training camp. Yeah. Because I think even though, the NFL hasn't been playing, all these coaches and guys have been working. You've been doing the work. You've been watching a lot of tape. It's not like they got to give these guys their official time off that they always get. And if they don't, I'll be mad because I got to get my official time off as well. before training camp starts. Otherwise, we're all going to be, and we're all hopeful training camp's going to start. I'm an optimist. I think, I do believe that the country will open up at some point in May, and we will have an NFL season.
Okay, Pete, the biggest off-season story right now for the Jaguars in terms of the roster is the Yannick Ngakoue situation. And earlier this week, he went on ESPN, the first TV visit with him. He's been all over Twitter the last months or so discussing the organization and his he wants to get out of here and move on to another organization and do all that. He's only limited in what he can do. The Jaguars have control, obviously, right now. What is the end result? What do the Jaguars have to get rid of Ngakoue?
Well, I think they have to have either a high one and something else, or they're not going to trade him. And by that, I mean a high one or maybe two mid ones. They're not going to get two mid ones for him. And they protected themselves by putting that tag on him. They could get 2 ones if somebody wanted them, but they're not going to do that. So they're not going to get 2 ones. So maybe a high 1 and a 3, or a high 1 and a 4 might get that done. A middle 1 and a 2 might get that done. Because it's a bad look for the organization, JP, to go trading disgruntled players when they want out. And Jalen Ramsey wanted out. They traded him because they got wowed by an offer. Now, if somebody comes with that kind of offer, and Ngakoue's out the door. I mean, I don't think there's any question about that. I don't see that happening. Do you? Do you see that kind of offer for him? I don't.
No, probably not. He thinks of himself, though, Pete, as a top 3 defensive end.
Well,
do you agree with that?
And he's a good football player. I'm not going to knock him for being a good football player. And he plays hard, and he works hard, and he's one of those guys. He's a good guy to have around. But the market isn't good right now for the pass rushers. You saw Dante Fowler, who had 11.5 sacks. He got $15 million, wasn't it, or $16 million?
Yeah.
Jadeveon Clowney, who doesn't get a lot of sacks but is a good football player, had his price come way down. He started at 22. These guys were all shooting to go above DeMarcus Lawrence and above who's the other? Frank Clark. Well, they're not getting above that. So now his $18.5 million that he turned down last year from the Jaguars now looks like that would be a heck of a deal. Now, the question would be now, would he take that from the Jaguar? If they gave him a 4-year deal averaging, or a 5-year deal averaging $18.5 million a year, would a guy who's made about $4 million in his career so far take that money? And I think no matter what he talks about the culture, the answer to that question should and would be yes.
You think he would? You think he would back off with all those statements?
What are his options?
That's right. Aren't many.
But right now, let's just play it out. He doesn't take that deal. They have him on the tag. They don't make a trade. Is he going to leave $18 million on the table after making 4? Of course not. He's going to go play. If he has a giant year, what are they going to do again? They're not going to let him walk. They'll tag him again. So in that scenario, he gets 2 tags. Fine. He might make $36 million. If he's okay with that, then fine. But there's no guarantee that that's going to be the case. What if he goes out, they tag him, and he doesn't play well? Then what? So I think if he's wise and he listens to his agent, his agent listens to the market, he takes the 18.5. In 5 years, if you get 18.5, look at that money.
Pretty good money coming in. Pete Prisco with us, CBS Sports senior writer and our co-host of Jaguars Happy Hour on Mondays during the regular season. And now the Jaguars in the draft, currently 2 first-round picks, number 9 overall, number 20 overall. I was looking at a mock draft that you were involved in, I guess a couple weeks ago now. You had Mekhi Becton at number 9 for the Jags, and you had Jordan Love, the quarterback from Utah State, at number 20. Today, do you still stand by those?
Well, I'm doing another one on Thursday, and that's not how it plays out. So, I got to change them up to me. I do so many of them, JP. I got to make them look different. Do I think Jordan Love will be there when they pick at 20? No, I do not. In fact, I think there's a chance he goes before your guy Tua. I mean, we keep hearing about Tua, but we don't know the medicals on Tua. All the medical information is coming from his side. Of course, they're going to say he's the healthiest guy in the world. We expect that. But you don't know where the medical is. And I think that's concerning to a lot of teams of where his medical is. So for that reason, if you see the Dolphins take a different quarterback and the Chargers take a different quarterback, then Tua could tumble down a little bit. And then he becomes a tough question for if you're Jacksonville at 9, would you consider Tua? Again, risky proposition. So, but yeah, I don't think Love will be there. But I put that there because what are their options at quarterback right now? Look, I love Gardner Minshew. He's a great story. I hope it works out. but nobody has any idea if it will. You can't base everything you think you're going to know this year based on what he did last year.
Yeah.
And that's why I would sign Jameis Winston. I'm in the minority on that one, but I would. After the draft, I'd let his price come down and then bring him in. The problem with that is he probably beats out Minshew.
Yeah, probably, right? I mean,
He's
the
better
guy's
than Minshew.
right. And, he's put up numbers in the past. He put a lot of interception numbers, but that's a lot of numbers last year,
But
too.
he's also
Pete.
played with bad defenses. I went through and looked at the numbers. He had 4 of his 5 years, and the only season it wasn't in Tampa was when he didn't play the whole year. He threw over 300 passes when trailing. In Tom Brady's years in New England, you know how many times he did that? Twice.
Wow.
So, I mean, you're throwing from behind, you're going to throw picks. Now, last year he did throw 10 interceptions in the first quarter. But I think some of that comes into your mindset when you're pressing through the bad defense. They've had bad defenses over the years. It got better at the end of last season, but they've had bad defenses. Jacksonville's defense, with what they've done, I think adding Schobert is big for them in the middle of their defense. Mm-hmm. Getting a corner who can play. I think Melvin's capable of playing and being a starter. He's not great, but he's been good at times. Get the defensive lineman and Gunter. I think all these moves, by the way, get the big nose tackle. They all look like they're going to a 3-4 if Ngakwe's back. And I think that's what they should do.
If Ngakoue is back or not back, is this done on defense? Would they dare just go defensive tackle, defensive end with that number 9 pick?
Oh, no, I think that's a possibility. People had linked them to Isaiah Simmons. I don't see that at all. I mean, they have Miles Jack is that Isaiah Simmons. Remember when he came out? Can cover the slot, can do this, can do that. Man without a position. And now he's been a man without a position, right? He played strong side, he played middle, he played weak. Now he's playing weak. So he's been a man without a position. That's what you get when you draft a man without a position. Not to say that they're not good football players. They're just men without a position. Settle on something. And what would you do with Isaiah Simmons? He's not playing linebacker for you because you got Miles Jack in that spot. Is he going to play safety? Maybe, because some teams view him as a safety. I don't think he's in play for them. I think their play at number 9 will be a couple different ways. If Okudah fell, they'd consider him. Derek Brown from Auburn, they'd consider him. Javon Kinlaw, they would consider him. And then any of the tackles that are available, because I think they need an upgrade at left tackle. And I've said that, JP, how many times on Monday night I've pounded Boselli on that. They need an upgrade at left tackle. Draft a left tackle, move Cam Robinson to guard, and let him compete, and they'd have a better offensive line.
The cornerback position, still not, I know they did one signing in free agency so far, but right now it's Trey Herndon and the guy you just signed, and DJ Hayden is the nickel. Those are the top 3 options right now at corner, it feels like. So there's a feeling, Pete, that they're going to go corner at least sometime early in this draft, too.
Yeah, and they should. They got, 3 picks in the top, 30?
Yeah, 42, I think.
Yeah. One of those picks will be a corner. They could go Mekhi Becton / Andrew Thomas at 9, and then get C.J. Henderson at 20, and then come back in 2 and get a receiver, because it's a good receiver class, like Ayuk from Arizona State. You get Ayuk or somebody like that. Yeah. Then all of a sudden they need a left tackle. Then you got another big play wide receiver to add to the game, and then you have a starting corner to pair with, Herndon. Or might pair with Melvin if Melvin's better than Herndon. So I think they go in that kind of situation. Receivers also something to be in play early in the draft. If they're sitting there at 9 and the tackles they like are gone and Simmons is gone and Brown's not there and they don't love Kinlaw, then I think Judy could be in play there. I think at number 9. Or what you could do in that scenario, a receiver needy team, because they need a receiver, but they're not desperate because they got Chark. But a receiver-needy team might make the move to go up, and you can move back a couple spots and still get good players.
It'll be interesting to see what happens. We're a couple of weeks away from the NFL draft starting virtually on NFL.com and all of the other
babies. Just go draft.
Just go get it done already. Pete, great to talk to you, man. Great to see you, too. Stay safe.
Thank you, JP.